Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm just making sure. Okay. So, I don't know if anybody's watching. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. But I've been wanting to do this. I've done them before at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So you've seen Sound of Freedom. Now what? And some of you know, a lot of people don't know, that before I was fighting for God's children that have parents who love them, I was fighting for God's children who were being sold in the state of Virginia through into child sex slavery. So education has always hit me extremely different. And so if you wonder why I'm always in this like sense of panic, why I'm always like, this is so bad, it's because of the two together. And that's where everyone needs to be. This is our time to reclaim our children and understand that this is not just in Honduras, crazy people doing this, okay? So from 2017 to 2020, we were making progress. The tunnels that run under the United States for drug trafficking and child sex trafficking, they're not a myth. They're very real. If you were to go back, you could find seismic activity. Hang on 1 second, real quick, please. No. Go to bed, honey. You would find seismic activity around 2019 under the United States that was always at the same level, and that was from blowing up the tunnels. And then miraculously, what happened? COVID, Epstein, all that. Boop, boop, boop. It's not a coincidence, guys. But I want to, go make sure that my child goes back to bed, because I have no idea why she's awake. Probably because I'm in my war room in the middle of the night. But while I do that, I want to, and I know that a lot of you, if you've known me long enough, have seen or heard, while I check on my child real quick, me play this song. And this is Lauren Daigle. I read his Rescue, the song. But I don't know if everybody has ever heard of the Operation Underground version. So while I go check on my child and get her back to bed before I come back, I'm just going to let this hit you in the gut when we talk about God's children are not for sale. Okay, I'll be right back.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen.
I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor.
Oh, I hear you whisper underneath your breath.
I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send down an army to find you in the middle of this night. It's true, I will rescue you.
Oh, I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you. I hear the whispers underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS.
I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you.
So, all right. So I don't sit here and slobber all over. So that is the Operation Underground Ambassador Lauren Daigle rescue. If you want to find it on YouTube, I can't hear it without puddling every time. So I hope that now that Sound of Freedom has done what the world tried to suppress it from doing, that your sense of urgency about what do we do now, because unfortunately I have a 6-year-old who's up, and but I just wanted to explain to you guys, and this is what's even more enraging, is Governor Youngkin's, I don't know if you've read his Commission on Human Trafficking Prevention and Survivor Support final report. Let the oppressed go free. Okay. So this was like the big that we were told was going to change the world, because Virginia's part of the Dirty 13. What is the Dirty 13? It is 13 states that have federal money pumped in. There's no state oversight. There's no uniform paperwork. It's literally county by county. None of that's mentioned in this report. So their final recommendations: the eradication of massage businesses, updating codes and expanding partnerships for internet crimes. So that's like Pornhub just got shut down. But the VCDPA is still not in effect. Develop greater resources for victims and survivors. How about preventing it? Expanding education and training human trafficking. Those are the 4 things. Their recommendations. Okay. I know I showed this to you guys the other day. Virginia got an F. An F. For the report card on child and youth sex trafficking. Okay. An F. Criminal provisions. F. Identification, response to victims. F. Continuum of care. F. Access to justice for trafficking survivors. D. Tools for victim-centered criminal justice. F. Prevention and training. F. So they covered a little bit of that in there. But this is pages of legislation from a wonderful sharedhope.org. The failing, but Governor Youngkin's massive team and his commission on human trafficking. Let the oppressed go free. Those are their 4 recommendations. They must have worked really hard at all these meetings. Technology, massage parlors, resources to help, yeah. But see, real quick, I'll show you a problem with that before I'm going to expanding education on human trafficking in schools. Well, here's the problem with that, is that when you have teachers raping and assaulting children and being found guilty of child pornography, and then they're shuffled off to another division, what is that doing? And, oh, by the way, CPS, calling them when children are assaulted and they never reported to the police. But this is what blew my mind real quick. So this would be human trafficking in America's schools from FedEd. What can schools help prevent human trafficking? I'm not even lying to you. I'm just going to skip down real quick. I almost fell out when I read this. It could, of 22,000 trafficking victim survivors identified through the hotline in 2019, 5,000 were under age 18. That's bullshit. School should be a safe place. In a child sex trafficking report, they managed to get in their agenda. Because what's the best way to stop child sex trafficking? Where is it? I'm sure you're probably going to know. What did it say? Trafficking is child. Thank you for telling me that. Where is it? I'll go through this with you tomorrow. We'll do this, but I wanted to. They love them some tiered reports, don't they? That kind of signaled to me that something similar. Oh, community partnerships. Let's bring in some more private sector, public sector, collaboration. Some more collaboration. That's all we need in our schools. Where is it? Establishing social emotional learning and positive school climate practices. That's how you prevent. Okay. If you can't by now see the social emotional learning problem, in a child sex trafficking report, they managed to squeeze in human traffic policies might address the following: establishing social emotional learning and positive school climate purposes. Just going to say that. That was from FedEd. FedEd. They're human trafficking in America's schools. Okay. SEL, social emotional learning, is going to help stop child sex trafficking in our schools. No bullshit. So also I have in front of me the Office of State Inspector General, Child Protective Services, because guys, CPS is the pipeline to child sex trafficking. Period. And that's what that report did not mention. That's what none of the reports, because the information is so out there. But let's see. I'm gonna pull up, because I could get really bad. And like my research goes into U.S. corporate scandals. If you wanted to. So how about this? August 1st, the first newly federated Chesterfield County Tea Party. We are going to do same title. So you've seen Sound of Freedom. Now what? going to go get into this and what we need to do with this next legislative session coming up. A major overhaul. I'll write it. We have to get our people. And then I want to see the right and the left. Say no. But, so my research is vast. And it, so there's this thing called medical kidnapping that goes on in CBS. And these are just from my notes from years ago. Of more than 400,000 children in U.S. foster system, it's estimated that more than 50, and yes, there are links at the bottom of all my research. It's estimated that more than 50% are on some sort of psychiatric drug. Money is part of the reason. Foster parents are paid more to take care of a child with mental health issues. On average, a foster family earns about $17 a day for taking in a child who needs a basic level of care. But a child who's taking drugs such as antidepressants, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, anxiety medications, anticonvulsants is worth around $1,000 a day. And also, what they do is they will then take them to the doctor, get them put on the medicine, because who gets kickbacks? The doctors. I had a lot of questions when I first started fighting this about, let's go to DC and march on. There is no marching on DC for CPS. You can't go to DC and say, I'd like to meet with the director of CPS. It is state by state, division by division. The best states, like Vermont and like New Hampshire, and the rest in the middle, there's like 30 of them. But the best still have no federal oversight. They have kind of a little bit better state oversight. They have uniform paperwork. That's the top notch. That's the top tier of what we have going on. So there's nobody to go to. But the federal government pays out, funds all of this. $20 billion in federal funding. But they don't do anything like rehabilitate the family. It's all going to foster care, foster homes, people who are like Annie, and all they do is take in foster children and then still collect checks. Because 1 in 6 runaways is become the victim of child sex trafficking. 86% of those are from foster care. 1 in 6 runaways becomes child sex trafficked in the United States. 86% of those are from foster care. And then you want to tell me that you're going to put social workers in school and not follow the law? And this is where parents need to radars up. When I tell you that you need to make your school and people running for school board, the law in the state of Virginia that says you cannot counsel my child, period, without parental consent, people are like, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Really? Okay, because when your 9-year-old decides that they got pissed at you because you took away their tablet that morning, and the counselor and they say, well, my mom's a bitch. And then they call CPS and they come and take your child. Don't think it can't happen to you, because we have this really big problem about this anonymous hotline, how you can report anybody. I have the governor's child abuse, neglect in Virginia report. Let's see. 36,000 completed CPS reports. 27,000, rounding up, family assessments. That means 36,000 families if we believe these numbers, had reports done on them. 27,000 had family assessments, which means these children were traumatized, the families were traumatized. Founded investigations, 3,000. That means that 32,000 families have now reports on them. That means that 23,000 families were traumatized by having their lives invaded by CPS. And of those founded investigations, there were, from the family assessments, there were 6,000 double unfounded investigations. So, just to show you the numbers of how easy this can happen to you. Okay? And keep in mind, the educators are mandated reporters that hate you, that are doing things to your children that if you complain to them, they'll kick you off the property, lock you out. They're mandated reporters if that's not scary enough. But I wanted to show you I was going to get into Nancy Shaver, but since I have a child who doesn't want to go to bed, I want to show you this before I go. You can look him. He's got a podcast now. He's no longer has a channel, but he is a CPS whistleblower.
They don't want you to know what's going on. Because if you did, you would rebel. You would fight back. What I present is not good news. It will shock some and anger many. But it is necessary to help the past, present, and future victims of an agency which has ripped families apart for decades. I'm talking about Child Protective Services. And I was one of their foot soldiers as a CPS investigator. Presently, there are over 400,000 children in out-of-home care and in the protection of this organization. And therefore I find it imperative to come out and expose the truth about what they are in order to atone for my sins. As an investigator, I was guilty of working for an organization that has hampered freedom throughout the United States and has caused millions of parents to live in fear.
This is important right here. And this, when we prayed after watching Sound of Freedom with people who did not care what color skin they were, this was because they criminalize poverty. They don't help parents get jobs and get their children and get their lives together. They criminalize poverty. So ask our liberal Democrats what the hell they're doing when welfare keeps people in poverty and then they come and take their children because they've criminalized poverty. And why are they blaming anybody but themselves?
I was guilty of working for an agency that has done more to carry out the war on drugs than the war against child abuse. I'm guilty.
Okay, I don't agree with this at all because marijuana is a drug. Okay, so that's the one thing. But what I do find interesting is that there was legislation this past session that passed, thank you, Jennifer McClellan, to make marijuana use legal for foster parents. So if you can be a foster parent if you test positive. So they know enough about CPS in Virginia to remove, because marijuana, not a drug. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Virginia needs to get over that. Well, there's a lot of money in it. Really, that's where we are in the world. Marijuana is a drug. I know, I'm a recovering addict. I know tons of people addicted to it, relapse, gateway. Remember all this stuff growing up? It didn't just go away. So that's the one thing is I don't agree with here. But is that what does interesting to me and my brain is that they know enough about it that they made it not illegal anymore for foster parents who test positive. You can still be a foster parent. So they know enough about CPS to remove that. But that's it.
For working for an agency that was directly funded more.
The Clintons, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, under the guise of the Adoption and Safe Families Act, $4,000 to $6,000 for every child that is removed from their home and placed with a stranger. Now, the correct verbiage is that is removed from their home and adopted out in less than a year to a non-familiar human. Not family, less than a year. You can't even get divorced in less than a year if you have children. And they guised it we're doing it because of the racial inequity to incentivize. It's not going to the adoptee parents. It's going to CPS. 4,000 to 6,000. I actually have documentation that says it's 4,000 to 10,000 bonuses. You get bonuses. His verbiage is correct. Is that removed and placed with a stranger? It's actually adopted out in under a year. Adopted out in under a year to a non. They actually put stipulations in there, not to a family member.
For every child that was taken from a parent that treated children as a product
Still going on.
used physically, sexually, and emotionally.
For children, the average age of child sex trafficking in America is the age of 12. The life expectancy is 7 years. Think about that.
I'm guilty of working for Child Protective Services. Through insight, historical analysis,
And he's written a book.
experience, and interviews with top attorneys, family court judges, and victims, you will be exposed to the truth about what Child Protective Services is, and more importantly, the most thorough explanation of what to do if Child Protective Services comes after you and your family that has ever been produced.
So, I don't know who asked if you're still on the Facebook user because it doesn't tell me unless you tell me who it is. I'm sorry how much I don't know which question you were asking about. But I'm guessing it was a number. So if I jump off, I'll be back on. But if you're talking about Youngkin's report, I'm guessing it would be 36,000 completed reports. That would be 36,000 homes visited. And on August 1st, Chesterfield County Tea Party, I'm going to go over what to do when CPS, if CPS, the law around it. What they will try to do, what they have done. They will come and they will say they are not law enforcement. They have to have judge paperwork. They have to have a warrant. And if you hand over your children because you are afraid of what's going to happen to you if you don't, parents are in this delusion that any part of this government is actually built to protect them. Okay. No one's coming to save us. I've said it before. Oh, hey, McCary. Yeah, ask me. But no one's coming. We can talk about that in 100 ways. I mean, we've been on the Coke thing. Coctopus. These are people that have bought our state. and they're pro open borders, which is where fentanyl. And I don't know if you've seen Cages on Rumble. It came out the week before Sound of Freedom. But I shared it. But it's on my page on Facebook. But it's on Rumble. You can look at it. It's called Cages. It's about what's going on the border, the open borders right now. I have paperwork from research that I did from when Obama was, down there with the open borders. What was really going on. Imagine the immigrant children whose parents, don't speak the language. They're being think about this. They're being welcomed into this nation. You want to talk about children disappearing who have no documentation? It gets really freaking scary when you think about it that way. They don't speak the language. Because when Sound of Freedom, you notice there was a closed border. They were monitoring. Because that was 5 years ago. It took them 5 years to get it out. So now with this open border, there's so many problems with it. Is the children. Because they're being separated at the border. Adults go this way. Sound familiar? I don't know, it's like World War II, like adults go this line, children go to this line. And then you don't speak the language, you fled to it, the freest nation in the fucking world. You've reached salvation. Only to find out that you're in hell. And when you go, Maria? They're like, no Maria here. This is the world we live in. And it's not right or left. It is not Republican, Democrat. It is good and evil. It is Satan and God, and that's it. So you pick your side. Now that you've seen Sound of Freedom, you pick your side. You live in your delusional world. You take your blue pill. You go back. Try to forget it's that little boy teddy bear and what they did to him. Because you want horrific stories? I gotta know, give you nightmares. And then you wonder why I fight so hard for these children who have parents who love them, who won't step up. Because I'm not doing this because I'm doing this. It's too much. But I have to keep going because if I don't, I would go crazy. So when people say, where do you get your energy? Well, if I can't unknow it unless somebody can unprogram my brain. So if I'm fighting it, then I'm doing something and I can sleep at night, which is what I'm going to go try to do now. But I just wanted to give you guys, and I'm not like holding back info, but that's what we're going to talk about at the first meeting on August 1st at the Tea Party. But this is just what I grabbed. You should see my education research. But you should look up the Office of State Inspector General, Virginia Department of Social Services Performance Audit, September 2022. Sharedhope.org, the Virginia Report, F. And then, yeah, I live in fear. People ask me a lot, do you live in fear? Yeah, I do sometimes. About CPS coming knocking at my door. But you're gonna talk about living in fear. Look up Nancy Schaefer, Georgia senator who first outed all this stuff. Dead. She was supposed to go to The Hague and testify. And her producer, dead. So, COVID was not, it was an accident. But, so, Sound of Freedom, you've seen it. Now what? I know a lot of people are like, what do I do? What do I do? How, do I go to Honduras? How do I call up? No. It's here. It's in your backyard. I don't know if you saw, like a couple days ago, that 10 people were arrested for child sex trafficking. Chesterfield County had 86 in the last couple of years. In the last month, CPS agents arrested in the state of Virginia for child sex trafficking. So it's here. It's in your backyard. I think it was one of my good friends over in Hanover, and we were leaving the movie, and they were like, I mean, but how do you know what's around you? And I was like, it's everywhere. Like, that's how scary it is. And then there's the porn problem. People are addicted to porn. And there's probably, I don't know, just like, because they're adults. And what it desensitizes. But I mean, porn in libraries in our school is totally fine. But hey, let's be Democrats and ban Pornhub. But it's okay if it's in the libraries. But Pornhub, lock it down. I mean, it's a good thing, because I made the mistake of, I kept seeing these shirts that were like, I'm the stepsister, with like the Pornhub logo, and I was like, what the hell is that about? So I went on there, and evidently everybody's stepsisters, stepbrothers, everything is like incestuous. Like, my therapist, my doctor, like, is that we've gone beyond like normal, like, just porn. Everything is my stepsister, my stepbrother, my stepfather, my stepaunt. Is that the porn world has ventured into incest. And things like doctors, my therapist, and me. Like, teacher everywhere. Teacher porn. Teacher student porn everywhere. Just, that was an adventure with my husband that he thought was going to turn out differently than it did. No thank you. But so yeah, let's lock down Pornhub and massage parlors and not actually confront the issues, because that just seems to be what Virginia loves to do, and make it look pretty, and then go on Fox News and talk about what we're doing in Virginia, and then keep applauding. And just remember, your governor, your attorney general, not mine. Because if you've seen Sound of Freedom, and now you know this, what you do with it is up to you. So, on that note, I'm out of here. Choose